Ladies and gentlemen, I don't have a drawn out, aggressively average introduction for you today. I'm going to speak to you normally and remind all of you that this won't happen again. In 2021, what occurred is in the crypto market, a crypto bull run began, but the XRP army was left behind. And despite the fact that XRP did appreciate from the 11-cent lows of the 2020 March crash for C19, we did experience a 20x gain from those lows. But we did not experience the true bull run that we deserved. Because of the anomaly of the SEC lawsuit, we got left behind. We got dragged through the quicksand. But what you need to understand this time around is that we cannot change what has happened in the past, but we can anticipate all the drawn out demand, all the built up tension and momentum for this crypto. XRP will be one of the best performers the next cycle. XRP, in my opinion, will outperform Bitcoin. Ripple continues to build. Is an IPO looming? I hope so. We'll find that out. But with the momentum of a Bitcoin ETF, with the analysis that we've been showing you on this channel, you know damn well XRP is about to break $1 and go on a new uptrend. We are in the early stages of the next bull market. And currently, XRP is at 69 cents. 69 cents. Guys, we need to understand as well that it's not just me saying this. It's not just hype and hopium. Some of the most grounded, most patient analysts on the planet are now letting us know and giving confluence to the hypothesis we've been building for a while. A golden cross is formed for XRP, as historical patterns are showing potential fireworks in store for the XRP chart. In 2017, a 700% surge occurred, a brief correction, and then we soared another 60,000%. In 2020, we saw a 40% dip, followed by a 1,000% rise. But this time around, I believe something special will occur. This chart is from JD, a very high quality analyst out there on Twitter, and I highly recommend you give him a follow, as he's been putting out grounded TA for a long time. He's the one who let us know that after all of these golden crosses, we went absolutely parabolic. This time around, the golden cross is confirmed, and we should be in for much higher levels in short order. It might not be tomorrow or the next week, but it's going to happen soon. And when XRP explodes, it does so all at once. Don't get left behind, because the macro narratives and the macro TA and the macro events are all pointing to all these confluences being correct. BC Backer is letting us know that the altcoin market is ready. And all of you know as well that I've been calling for this altcoin cycle for a while, and we are here. We mistimed it in 2022, but we're right on motherfucking time for 2024. And that, my friends, is unquestionable. But what does need to be questioned and what does need answers is what Edward Snowden has been pointing to. We're living in a world where pro-banking Senator Elizabeth Warren sits, stays, and rolls over for Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan, so long as he feeds her self-serving attacks on the crypto industry's primary competitor. Ladies and gentlemen, we are witnessing Elizabeth Warren being unleashed. First, she's going to say that we need to try and go after illicit finance and illegal activities. But this is all to prepare the soil for a CBDC and to make that as radioactive as possible for Bitcoin. Guys, what's actually crazy is that they might pull it off. I am absolutely bullish as hell on high quality, fundamentally sound and regulatory compliant cryptos, ones that are working with the new system they want to build, ones that'll help complement CBDCs. And the reason why is because I think the government's going to win because they control all the damn money. Any crypto that is trying to create its own system will likely have harsh regulations around them. I'm not here to try and argue about what is good for freedom at this moment in time. I am simply here telling you that I believe these coins are going to go up and that you will make quite a lot of money from them. And I'm also feeding you the narrative to be conscious enough to buy your own freedom with your newfound profits and empower yourselves, despite the fact that they want to try and disempower you with the new tech. This is all I believe. This is what I'm trying to do. And I hope all of you are aware of that.
Why does she hate Bitcoin? Because it's the antithesis of a central bank digital currency. And that's her long-term goal, is to implement a CBDC over time. But in order to prepare the soil for that, she has to make that soil radioactive for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. And that's what she's aiming to do with her AML bill. This bill essentially would make it practically illegal for a teenager mining Bitcoin or other cryptocurrency in his mom's basement. He would have to comply with the same regulatory burdens that a bank like Goldman Sachs has to do. In other words, it would be impossible, right? It would make it illegal to practically touch cryptocurrency or Bitcoin in the United States. But that's by design. Elizabeth Warren intends to do that because if she can get regulations in place that make it impossible to do anything Bitcoin related in the US, she knows she'll drive innovation offshore. And that essentially prepares the way for a CBDC, which is what I believe she's been trying to do this whole time.
And ladies and gentlemen, I 100% agree. I had told you for months now, accurately, with 2020 foresight, that crypto would get political. I told you and predicted that the Democrats would be pro-CBDC because it does help with their agenda, their climate change, their social credit, their implementation for all their new regulation. And I told you Republicans would be more pro-crypto. With accuracy, Elizabeth Warren complies with the agenda. But on the other side of the aisle, there are pro-Bitcoin and crypto narratives building, as predicted. Here, at the GOP primary debate, Vivek Ramaswamy was brought up a question about crypto, and Gary Gensler gets called out and absolutely crucified. Ladies and gentlemen, listen, as in 2024, crypto is going to be a major talking point for the next election.
Mr. Ramaswamy, you've praised cryptocurrency like Bitcoin as an opt-out from our, quote, broken financial architecture, and you oppose efforts to regulate it. The head of the largest international crypto exchange just pleaded guilty to allowing his platform to launder money for terrorists, including Hamas. You say your cryptocurrency plan will, quote, ensure economic freedom for Americans, end quote. Won't it also ensure economic freedom for fraudsters, criminals, and terrorists?
Look, fraudsters, criminals, and terrorists have been defrauding people for a long time. Our regulations need to catch up with the current moment. The fact that SBF was able to do what he did at FTX shows that whatever they have as the current framework isn't working. And I think it is nothing short of embarrassing that Gary Gensler, the current leader of the SEC, in front of Congress, could not even say whether Ethereum counted as a regulated security or not. And so I think that this is just another example of the administrative state gone too far. Here's the dirty little secret in American politics today. The people who we elect to run the government are not the ones who are even actually agencies that are writing regulations that Congress never gave them the authority to write. And the good news is a U.S. president can absolutely fix that. That takes a U.S. president with a spine. So what I've said is in my administration, by the end of year one, we will have a 75% reduction in the number of federal bureaucrats. We will shut down government agencies that should not exist. We will rescind any regulation that fails the test of West Virginia versus EPA, which is the most important Supreme Court case of our lifetime, that said if Congress didn't delegate that to an administrative agency, then it's unconstitutional. These are seismic changes. These are big changes that the next president can deliver without asking Congress for permission or for forgiveness. And I want people to understand that distinction, because people have been sold myths by politicians for a long time saying, I'm going to work with Congress to do this or that. Much of what you've heard on the stage from the other politicians fit that description. They need Congress. The things that I'm promising you, this is what the leader of the executive branch gets to do under Article 2 of the Constitution.
Thank you, sir.
Cut down the bureaucracy. That's how we grow our economy, and put the Federal Reserve in its place. This is part of the crypto discussion.
No.
90%
Mr.
headcount reduction at the Fed.
You're out of time.
And guys, isn't it so interesting that these moderators at these debates to choose the highest office in the land always seem to interrupt when the answers to these questions get most important and most interesting? What an abomination. Anyways, I do think Vivek was right on the money. And I do think that all of you need to continue to begin to get your political observation hats on. 2024 is going to be a year of a lot of division. A lot of narratives are going to be used to divide you and get you emotional, to get you reactive. But I am proactively telling you right now to stop it. Cut it out. These things don't matter. You can only control what you can control. And what I'm going to need to stress is every single one of you needs to pay attention. They do one thing, say another, make you feel bad about another thing, want to make one thing illegal when they're actually the criminals in charge of the law. Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention to this. Elizabeth Warren wants to ban crypto that could honestly bring on financial freedom and grow the economy. But at the same time, she's in bed with the big banks. She's in bed with JP Morgan and Jamie Dimon. She doesn't care about the fraud they commit. Only the fraud in crypto that she was not a part of, because we know damn well she was in bed with Sam Bankman-Fried too. Keep that in mind. Remember that heading into 2024. We are in a bull cycle no matter what she says. And the longer you keep this in mind and understand what's going on, the better you'll be able to decipher the lizard talk and become the new 1%. Ladies and gentlemen, in his return to Twitter, the AI posted this compilation of Elizabeth Warren and JP Morgan. And I'm going to leave you with this for the day because it's very telling. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Bearable Bull here. Thanks for tuning in. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. Now I'll be back tomorrow with another video.
I'm so curious what was going through your mind when you heard Jamie Dimon's response.
Look, when Jamie Dimon and I are in exactly the same place, it's because we have a serious problem in this country.
JP Morgan says it has reached an agreement in principle to settle the Jeffrey Epstein sex predator litigation with the U.S. Virgin Islands with a payout of $75 million. The settlement ends a bruising episode in which each side accused the other of enabling Jeffrey Epstein's abuses and led to a series of embarrassing disclosures of relationships that high-ranking bank officials at the time had with Epstein himself, including one former executive who frequented Epstein's private island.
And that is a part of the financial system is being used by terrorists, by drug traffickers, by rogue nations in order to launder money, move money through the system and finance their illegal activities.
Investigators in Philadelphia are searching a cargo ship captured in what's being called one of the biggest drug busts in U.S. history. Some 17 tons of cocaine has been recovered, worth more than $1 billion on the street. Officials tell CBS News there might be another 30 tons on board on top of what they've already found.
And when I asked the question, should the rules that apply to their banks And by the way, also apply to stockbrokers and gold traders and credit card companies and credit unions.
Reporters is that this has been going on for about 8 years, in which these traders, they specifically were clearly kind of talking about JP Morgan here. I mean, the names that we have in the story do refer to these JP Morgan executives. They had been spoofing the market for the better part of 8 years, and silver, gold, platinum, palladium, I mean, all of the precious metals.
What I'm talking about is the part of the system that makes sure that banks are not being used for terrorist financing, for example.
The nation's biggest bank is facing a $13 billion fine this morning for its role in the mortgage meltdown. JP Morgan Chase negotiated the tentative settlement on civil charges with the Justice Department. The deal does not end a criminal probe, and it could set a new standard in cracking down on bank behavior.
There's a new threat out there. It's crypto, and it is being used for terrorist financing. It is being used for drug trafficking.
JP Morgan Chase has agreed to settle fraud charges for its role in the financial crisis. Under this settlement, the bank will now pay $154 million, just shy of that, which is actually less than what it earns in 1 week. The SEC says the company misled customers about risky mortgage investments. Last year, Goldman Sachs paid $550 million to settle similar charges.
North Korea is using it to pay for about half of its nuclear weapons program. We can't allow that to continue.
JP Morgan, Barclays, Citigroup are amongst 5 banks fined a combined total of 1.07 billion euros by European Union regulators for taking part in 2 cartels in the spot foreign exchange market for 11 currencies worldwide.
You know, we have something called the Bank Secrecy Act, which is how banks are required to monitor certain kinds of transactions that go through the system. It was written in the 1970s following 9/11. The law enforcement folks went back, looked at what had happened, figured out how the financing had made it through the system, and that's the last time that Congress updated the Bank Secrecy Act. What we need to do is we need to update it again because there's a new threat out there.
JP Morgan Chase has officially settled with federal authorities over criminal charges that the bank ignored warning signs of Bernard Madoff's $65 billion Ponzi scheme. The bank will pay $1.7 billion to settle the claims, which authorities say is the largest bank forfeiture in history and the largest penalty by the Department of Justice for a Bank Secrecy Act violation. That act requires banks to alert authorities about any suspicious activity.